This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Florida. I'm here with an award-winning author that has had a life-threatening event that forced her to commit to writing full-time, experiencing a life beyond disability. Amy, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You were formerly educated with a BA in English and Creative Writing at the Florida State University. Before we share your life now currently, explain to me what your life looked like working in multiple industries prior to your misadventure.
I've always wanted to write, but I had to pay the bills. So I was working in insurance, marketing, all different corporate jobs, and finding time to write on the weekends and evenings. It was hard. I became a massage therapist right before the stroke, just simply to have more time to write. And then I had the stroke, so I have all the time in the world now.
What a story that brought you to us today. I mean, we all experience challenges in life, yet some of us endure life-changing obstacles that most of us will never have to cope with. I mean, you choose to call your event a misadventure. Why do you think that was a fitting title?
Well, because sense of humor. The book is not a sad, tragic event. I don't focus on the negatives. I use my sense of humor, and it's written lighthearted, and it's more filled with gratitude and all my mishaps. I kind of have a self-deprecating sense of humor, so I make fun of myself and make the reader comfortable laughing.
I love your attitude. It's fantastic. There is much involved in our complicated bodies that determine our quality of life. I mean, we all agree, though, that the brain and the heart are two that we fear the most in failing. What is a brain hemorrhage? Why don't you educate our viewers out there, first of all, what that was you experienced?
Well, it was years before I realized I actually had a stroke. Because I was used to thinking of stroke as like a brain clot that travels to the brain, and that's one type of stroke, the ischemic kind. But I actually had a hemorrhagic stroke, which I had a malformation in the brain. That was a tangle of blood vessels, and it finally bled. I did learn about it a couple months prior to actually having the stroke because I felt just a numbness on my lips, and then it spread to my face, and I went to a neurologist. So I'd had a couple of opinions about what to do about this clot, basically, this tangle of blood vessels before I had the stroke. But I was in the process of getting a third opinion when it did bleed, and then they had to operate.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, you experienced this at the young age, really, of 36. How did this end of a life of freedom become a restricted life that you had to learn to accept? What is your life? How is your life different in that way today, physically?
Basically, it's very different. The wheelchair, I'm in the wheelchair, obviously, but that's actually the least of my problems. I have ataxia, which is a movement disorder caused by damage to the cerebellum in the brainstem. So, ataxia is kind of balance and incoordination. And I think that's why I'm not really able to walk, but that causes the most problems. My right hand curls up in a fist. So really, I just have use of the one hand.
Wow.
And that really is the most problem.
I mean, with poor eyesight, the use of only one hand, a movement disorder, I mean, you could have had many excuses for not writing and forging ahead. For those of us out there in our viewing audience who maybe have excuses not to pursue their calling, what advice would you give them?
Life is not over. And actually, I focus on that on my website, amyfquincy.com. My personal inspiration I had, someone gave me the book, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly by John Dominic Bobby. And he was 44 when he had a very similar type of stroke, a brain stroke to the brainstem. And he could only blink one eye. He was completely paralyzed in Lockton syndrome, blinking one eye, and he dictated the entire book that way. So I looked at that and thought, and part of my problem when I was able to write and walk and do everything was a lack of ideas. And now I had the perfect story to tell. So I was excited because I felt I had a story to tell now that could help others. And that's what I focused on.
That is very inspirational. I mean, Misadventures of a Happy Heart is a memoir of finding achievement in what you once took for granted, really. This read sounds inspirational, even entertaining, and a bit humorous. Tell me about that combination.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't want to make a sad, tragic story. In fact, some people, when something has happened to them, their life becomes about that, and I didn't want it to define who I was. I like being known as the writer instead of the girl in the wheelchair that can't walk. So I wrote a memoir really that I thought would be for people not only that suffered a stroke, but for able-bodied people so they could actually relate.
Interesting. You offer insight and understanding, really bridging the gap between the disabled, the caregivers, family, and friends. Does a life-changing event change really many people, not just the person it happened to? And is this written for all parties to the misadventure?
Definitely. Most people I know that have read my book are able-bodied, and they get a lot out of it because it really focuses on having gratitude. I mean, and that's what I kept in mind throughout the whole process. I mean, you can always find somebody who's worse off than you. And the trick is to not focus on what you can't do, but get out there, help others. I personally got involved in the local hospital's adaptive sports. So I've done all kinds of things. And many people in a similar situation or people worse off if you just become a mentor. Like helping others will get you out of yourself and your problems and what you can't do. So I hope that, for anyone, really, my book is good to keep in mind to have gratitude to where you are now.
Many times the best way to help ourselves is by helping others. And that's really what you're doing. You're getting out there and doing that. In this book, you come to terms with not only what you lost, but also what you gained. Do you challenge really our preconceptions of the disabled? And surprisingly, have you found that are we all not so different after all?
Right. Yeah, I definitely think it's for everybody in that respect. And now being able to do things has changed my life. But people ask me all the time if you could go back. Like, I really wouldn't like go back to being able to walk because I can write now. I've written my book. I'm helping others. In fact, I'm writing a second book, tentatively called Faith from Scratch, just about the spiritual journey I'm on right now. Because I think a lot of times when something life changing happens, people think, why did this happen to me? And then why was I given a second chance? And I find it, I do a lot of introspection and self-reflecting. And so that's created this spiritual journey that I'm on right now. And I just hope that more people look at the good and positive and again, help others, and that will get you out of your own problems.
Speaking of more people, I mean, according to the statistics, over 56 million people in the United States are disabled. 18% of the total population. I mean, that's 1 out of every 5 people. This book is probably relatable to many people, like you say, not just the able-bodied, the not able-bodied, but really across the board.
Yeah, and a lot of people have bought it for people they know that have been disabled because some people like tend to think, oh, being in a wheelchair, that's the worst thing that can happen, that your life is over. And I really want to share that if you find your passion, find something you can do, you can still do, and find some purpose, and that will keep you going if you have a purpose out there.
Interesting. Life is not over. I mean, in your writing, the reader will learn to not take things so seriously. I mean, have a sense of humor. Don't define yourself by a tragedy. You need to get involved, socialize, live in a walkable community, even maybe get a dog, you say. These sound like great life tips, really for anyone. What has been some of the feedback from people who have read the book, would you say?
Oh, it's been very positive. Funny about getting a dog, actually. A lot of people, people don't are hesitant to approach someone disabled on their own. But having a dog, people would talk to me and so it was good for me, but also good for them. To approach someone with a disability, having a pet, it makes them that much more approachable.
Yeah. And in your case, not only that, but maybe even a cat, right?
Yes, I have 2 cats now.
Yeah, that's great. Amy, as an award-winning author, you now have been recognized for your writing. This book really reveals your amazing spirit, your tenacity, and grace in execution. Is this rewarding, sharing your misadventure to help others with theirs?
Yeah, that really is the point. And getting the awards has been nice, but again, I just wanted to get out there. And if they go to my website, I actually have a blog that I kept up for a long time from 2011 to 2017. So there's lots of reading to do. You can purchase the book, but yeah, getting the message out there has been the most important thing.
Speaking of the website, viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is her website. where you can learn more about this journey and order the book right there. We're talking about a book that no one who reads it will come away untouched. Excellent work, not only for the able-bodied, but for the not able-bodied, anyone who has experienced any misadventures out there, as I'm sure we all will or can. Once again, that is Misadventures of a Happy Heart, a memoir of life beyond disability. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.